So, Korczak and Stefa's Pedagogical Legacy in the 21st Century, with some examples from Israel. All of this is taking place in this special year, marking 100 years since the establishment of the Jewish orphanage in Warsaw by Janusz Korczak and Stefa. From the very beginning till today, their educational practice and inspiration for us to the educating of children and in our approach to them. So I want to show you the house for those who don't know the house, and also the main hall that now looks a little bit different because there is an exhibition. Korczak said, children are not the people of tomorrow, but people of today. And I think that's the main thing that leads Korczak and Stefa in the approach to children. They are people today. They were not, they will not, they already are. And that's the main thing. They have a right to be taken seriously and to be treated with tenderness and respect. So, what they mean, they are equal to the adults in this matter. They're not equal in everything, but they're equal in their the right to be taken seriously. So if the child is talking to you as an adult and he has complaints or he has some reflections on something, and even that you are not so interested in that, you should be. Because if they are coming to talk to you, they really meant that you will hear them and that you will react on their feelings and so on. Korczak was the first who demanded a declaration on children's rights. His name, as we all know, Henry Goldschmidt. And he's known better as Janusz Korczak, so his nationality somehow runs between Poland and Polish and Jewish nationality. Already in 1924, when reading the Declaration of the Rights of Child that was adopted by the League of Nations, he was very disappointed. He felt that it was not clear enough, that it was begging rather than insisting on that. From that time on, Korczak, the medical doctor, writer, and educator, became the most radical companion for children's rights. Yuda Kahana, you can see him on the right side, on his 100th birthday. It was 2 years ago. He was an educator in Korczak House, and he left in 1935 to Israel, to Palestine at that time. And on the left side, we can see Shlomo Nadel. He was one of the orphans of Korczak. He left the house in 1936. He's now 92. Yuda Kahana passed away 2 years ago, 2 months after his birthday, I think, the 101. Yuda Kahana, the educator in the orphanage, listed the components of educational system as follows. Children's Council, Children's Court, types of friends, the limits of self-government. Please notice, limits of self-government. Democratic, but with limits. Interventions, order, tutoring, group education, and education for work. Education for democracy. So if we are taking all these points together, we really have the children's society in the mirror of the adult society, and how it comes in the orphanage. We have the structure of all the councils that were in the orphanage. From the main point, the Independent Administrative Committee, that was really the parliament of all the children of the house, 107 mainly, before the war, and all the committees that each one of the children had to participate in that. So if I'm going on with Theo's lecture, the participation was one of the main cores of the living in this house. I'm not going into that because it's not the main. And what he said, children are not the people of tomorrow, but people of today. I said it before. What really wanted Korczak? He wanted rights. He wanted charity. Not charity. And rights for the present, not in the future. What does it mean? Today, as the child is a child, he deserves rights. And how can you give these rights to the child? Only by making them partners, your partners to your deeds, to teach them and educate them, to use and be a part of the system, of the democratic system in this home. They should be allowed to grow in whosoever they were meant to. What does it mean? Are we going to change the child? Or we are going to accept him and be part of our society as he is? Of course, he is young. He don't have the experience that we have. But, of course, they. So they, she and he, they are part of our society, but with all the qualities they have with them. So Korczak was the one who 100 years ago, at the age of 34, was asked to become the director of a Jewish orphanage in Warsaw. Just think about that. He was a medical doctor. He wasn't an educator. And somehow he was asked to run an orphanage as a director. Director is something very holistic. You have the bureaucracy, you have the education, you have the medical, you have all those who are directors know this matter very well. As a doctor, he cared for their physical well-being, weighted and measured them, and gave them medication. Seeing that the deeper wounds of those children related to broken families, not really wounds, but something inside the child, poverty, and other social elements, he redefined the very concept of health care, not only the medical, also the psychological. And from then on, Dom Sierot, and later on Nasz Dom, the Polish one, the orphan's house and those responsible for operating it have been an inspiration for all those people and organizations concerned in educational and caring for children and their rights. The child has the right to respect, to guiding thought. The child is a person equal to us in value. And looking at these books, I brought some examples of the children books, but that are not really for children. For 30 years, with full cooperation with Stefa, his partner, Korczak carried the child's voice in every possible way, in books, ostensibly written for children, but really aimed at adults, parents and educators. Look at this, the Kaitush, the magician. Stefa and Korczak, Korczak and Stefa, both developed and implemented an educational approach that respects the child, placing him in the line with equal rights to that of the grown-ups. Korczak was an educator who preceded the contemporary education approach. In virtue of his being an educator and physician, writer and social worker, and mainly because of his unique personality, he carried in Warsaw unique educational activities relating to the 8 diverse educational fields. Social education in general and democracy in particular. It's a new drawing we got in Israel recently of King Met and the people voting. But I want to show you in Israel. We have a school, we call it, it's in Aviv, near Netanya, not far from Tel Aviv. Okay, you know, everything in Israel is Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, but there are some other places also. So, also Haifa and area. Okay, so in the school that I'm working with, they made a project called From Flexibility to Fulfillment. What does it mean? They changed the structure of the normal school in some hours in the week, not all the school, and make place for children. So the children can participate in the school life. For instance, they have a parliament. It's called the Children Talks. They are meeting once a month because the school grow up, so 2 classes together, about 150 children together. And they are running discussions about problems that they want to solve at school. Things that bother them on the daily life. That's the parliament in our school. They are also gathering in small groups to discuss problems, to make order, and to see how they make this place a very nice place for them to live. You know, child is, I think, participate as 1/3 of his life at school. So it's quite a lot of time. Another thing is evaluation. So from Korczak, we know several ways of evaluation. One of them is this postcard. And if you see there is plus 100, minus 4, and 16 something. And for a long time, we were thinking, what does it mean? This postcard was given to the children and the educators when they left or finished their studies at home at the age of 14. And it means that 100 of the participants in the house thought that he will be a useful citizen when he'll grow up. 4, so-and-so, not exactly, and 16 have no idea about him. But it's something of evaluation. What kind of person you grow up and with what qualities or values you are going out from this house at the age of 14. In Avichail, my school, we also have evaluation. We ask the children to draw postcards in different matters. For instance, the one on the right hand, I'm helping to clean and to keep clean the school. So once a month, children in the school are getting a postcard for something they did during this 1 month. But different ones, I can show you. And there was a competition. Children draw these postcards. There was voting, which one of them is the best one. For instance, the one on the right hand, Peace in Our School, against violence. There are 3 of them against violence at school. This is evaluation of Korczak. How many times you were fighting with others, and how many times you said sorry for that. Another point is communication and education connected to communication. So we can see the teacher in front of the class, and in my school, we can see the circles of children who are sitting together with the teacher or the educator and discussing things. Education for work and preparation for life. There is no life without knowing how to work. And in our school, we have a group of children who are responsible of making the duty of work at school. Who is responsible on what and when? Multi-age and group education. Not only in one age, but how to make them responsible to each other, the Simpsons. And in our school, we have an hour in a week that children are teaching children. So we can see here a child in the 2nd grade teaching children for other classes, also those who are older than him. In this way, all the children know each other, and then you lower the violence at school. You make them friends. They depend. He knows something, although he's so young. He knows something. He can teach me something. So it's a good way. Educator training for internal and informal education. It was in Korczak House. It was called Bursa. Yuda Kahana, that we saw him before, was one of these educators. And in our school, a teacher is sitting with a child on one of the hours to help her to achieve the goals that she wanted to achieve. Love the child, not just your own. What does it mean? I was thinking about this sentence, because mainly children didn't have his own children. He said, if I can give my love to so many children, why should I have mine own? It wasn't the real reason, but that's what he said. But if we are going and being an educator or teacher at school, and we don't like the work or the children, probably we shouldn't be there. So Korczak approach way back then was not acceptable to the general public. Also, we have some problems with our school today. And certainly not in the pedagogy, where the child was so to speak not to be seen, but was as an object that should be obedient, as it was believed that only they, the adults, know what is best for him. It's not our school. This educational approach comes mainly due to the approach that preserves the child as a whole being, something holistic. A holistic vision which sees a child, a young man whose adult society grants him to condition in which to grow and to be a useful citizen in a society, not tomorrow, but right now, today. For example, the child has the right to love. In Korczak's words, love the child, not just your own. And what does it mean? Why it's so important? The child feels that he is safe in the environment and that he has the opportunity to express himself will allow him to develop and to be himself, to which Korczak says, the child has the right to be himself or herself. We should change him. We should help him to grow, but not to change him. So that we can develop, we need to create appropriate conditions. According to Korczak, it's the basic right of every child. The child has the right to optimal conditions in which to grow and develop. And Korczak said, we demand to do away with hunger, cold, dampness, strength, overcrowding, overpopulation. It means that the adults must provide the child to basic conditions of his life: food, living space, a home, and education. In this process, the child is allowed to make mistakes and fail as well. In Korczak's opinion, the child is not different from the adult. That was the reality in which Korczak and Stefa Wilczynska, his partner, ran the orphanage. However, they were not satisfied only with the struggle for the rights of the children through education. They also demanded responsibility and the holding of duties connected to the every life and social life of home. So, aside these rights, there are responsibilities. Importance of the work was regarded as the eighth level of value. Hence, such work was never used as punishment for a child. Absolutely prohibited. All the hundreds of children brought up in this home in the years from 1912 to 1940, and later in the ghetto till August 5th, 1942, knew that alongside the rights, there were also obligations. This postcard, the view of Warsaw, was the postcard the children got for work. Those postcards were given to children 4 times a year when the seasons were changing. And we were very lucky to get a set of these postcards, 27 of them, from Leon Glusman on the right. He passed away 2 months ago in the age of 95, I think, in Canada. And after years of keeping these postcards, he gave them to the archive in Ghetto Fighters Museum. So from that, we could learn about the system, how it works out. There was no sign of Korczak on that. It was given in the name of the society, of the home. It wasn't given by Korczak. These 2 educators, Korczak and Stefa, who cared for orphan children, children who had to leave their homes, cared for them a loving home. In the words of Shlomo Nadel, here we can see, I think there are the last 3 orphans from this home living in Israel from now. On the right hand, it's Itzhak Belfer. In the middle, it's Itzhak Skalka. And on the left, Shlomo Nadel. And in the words of Shlomo Nadel, a graduate of the home, what I received here, not there, here, I could not, as a father, give to my children. The children raised in the home from the age of 7 till 14 and received tools for life. This home was a school for life, as Korczak expressed in his writings. Janusz Korczak and Stefa Wilczynska, mother of the home, developed together with the children a children's republic, not as Pastelottis. They complemented one and the other and together produced the basis for a different way of thinking concerning the place of the child in society, a respectful approach that takes into account the right conditions for growth so that the child will grow as a useful citizen in the society. They saw the importance of child-friendly learning methods, arguing that ethics was more important than pure facts. He introduced a democratic spirit in the orphanage in which the children themselves had a say in the decisions, but also had to carry the burden to ensure that decisions were enforced. This Children's Republic had a parliament and a newspaper. Most well known in his experiment with the system of justice. A constitution was written in the orphanage, and a peers court was established among the children to deal with aligned justices. Korczak himself was charged a number of times for mistakes. The punishments were regularly to ask for forgiveness and to be forgiven, but when necessary, the guilty party was also punishment, but never work. Here we have a very nice picture of one of the stories of Korczak. I think some of the friends here already saw the play about this story. They argue between the mothers in the story of 10 matchboxes. Okay, so it's some picture of this story that who really have to solve the problems, the adults for the children or the children themselves. Korczak dared to use the word love and did it repeatedly. But he was not sentimental, not even towards children. His education was not a laissez-faire approach. He pleaded for rights with responsibilities. In the orphanage, each child had a task. He argues against too much protection. Children should also have the right to learn from experience. They must be able to test and even to take the risk of harming themselves. Many of the points that Korczak made are about respecting the integrity of the child. And we found in our school 6 types of children. So you can imagine what it means, each one of them. Maybe you can guess. Because one of them is the one always mixed up. Never on time, never with the things he needs to have. The other one is the one that he make the researches. He's a very serious one. Another one is a naughty. Another one is a very loud one. So we have 6 types of children in our school, and we are trying to find to each one of them the right way of learning and educating. There is no doubt that this year, marking a century of inspiration in a turning point in the attitude of society to Korczak, from the educator who walked with his children on their final journey to the Treblinka death camp, to that of an educator who devoted his life to change the position and status of the child in the society. And because of that, this is our Korczak. Colorful, smiling a little bit, happy, and not those Korczaks that we always see so dark and sad, and it's not the one. So the Janusz Korczak International Association, together with 24 associations worldwide, is active in making Korczak heritage known by giving seminars, lectures, translating and publishing of his writings, and carrying out meetings so that the education work carried by him provides us with the inspiration to continue as we are doing on this seminar. I sincerely hope that we all continue in this spirit so as to make a better world. And I wish to end with the words of Stefan. Man is not an educator, but a creator of the conditions, environment, and atmosphere which affect education and influence educational activity. Thank you very much.